Have you ever felt lost, adrift in a sea of meaninglessness? Many have. Friedrich Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra speaks directly to this feeling. It's a book unlike any other. It's a philosophical explosion. It's a call to awaken from the slumber of complacency. Thus Spoke Zarathustra is not a typical book. It's a work of philosophy disguised as a novel. It's a story, but also a sermon. It's full of allegory and symbolism. This form might seem strange, but it serves a purpose. Nietzsche wanted to bypass our intellectual defenses. He wanted to reach our hearts and souls. Nietzsche's Zarathustra descends from his mountaintop retreat. He yearns to share his wisdom with the world. He sees a world trapped by conformity. He sees a world clinging to outdated values. He brings a message of individual transformation. He calls for a rejection of mediocrity. Thus Spoke Zarathustra grapples with life's biggest questions. What is the meaning of existence? What is our purpose? How do we live a fulfilling life? These are not easy questions. Nietzsche doesn't offer easy answers. Instead, he forces us to confront them head on. He wants us to create our own meaning. This book is not for the faint of heart. It's a demanding read. It requires patience. It requires reflection. But the rewards are immense. This book has the power to change your life. It can help you see the world in a new light. It can help you find your own path. Nietzsche challenges us to embrace the weight of existence. He asks us to confront our deepest fears. He also asks us to embrace our greatest potential. He introduces us to the concept of the Übermensch. The Übermensch is not a literal superhuman, it's an ideal we should strive for. Nietzsche's philosophy is often misunderstood. He is often labeled a nihilist. Nihilism is the belief that nothing matters, nothing has meaning. But Nietzsche was not a nihilist. He believed in the power of the human spirit. He believed we could create our own values. One of Nietzsche's most famous ideas is the death of God. He wasn't suggesting God was literally dead. He was pointing out the decline of traditional religion. He saw this decline as both a crisis and an opportunity. A crisis because it removed the foundation of many people's beliefs. An opportunity because it allowed for new ways of thinking. Nietzsche challenges the traditional dichotomy of good and evil. He argues that these concepts are not absolute, they are human constructs. He encourages us to question everything. He wants us to think for ourselves. He wants us to define our own values. Thus Spoke Zarathustra is a journey. It's a journey of self-discovery. Zarathustra's journey mirrors our own. He experiences moments of doubt and despair. He also experiences moments of joy and triumph. Through his struggles, he teaches us how to live a more meaningful life. The book is written in a unique style. It's poetic and lyrical. It's also dense and challenging. Don't be discouraged if you don't understand everything on the first read. This book is meant to be revisited. Each time you read it, you'll discover new layers of meaning. You'll gain new insights into yourself and the world. Thus Spoke Zarathustra is a demanding but ultimately rewarding read. It's a book that will stay with you long after you finish it. It will challenge your beliefs. It will make you question everything you thought you knew. It will also inspire you to live a more authentic and meaningful life. Friedrich Nietzsche was born in 1844. He was born in a small village in Germany. Imagine a world on the cusp of change. Imagine gas lamps illuminating cobblestone streets. Imagine horse-drawn carriages navigating dusty roads. This was Nietzsche's world. This world shaped his perspective. Nietzsche's childhood was marked by tragedy. His father, a Lutheran pastor, died when Nietzsche was young. This loss had a profound impact on him. It led him to question his faith. It also ignited a lifelong fascination with the power of destiny. Despite these early hardships, Nietzsche excelled academically. He studied classical philology. This is the study of ancient Greek and Roman language and literature. He immersed himself in the works of the ancient philosophers. He was particularly drawn to the tragedies of Aeschylus and Sophocles. Nietzsche's brilliance was undeniable. At the age of 24, he became a professor of classical philology. This was at the University of Basel in Switzerland. He was unusually young for such a prestigious position. This appointment was a testament to his intellectual prowess. It was also a sign of things to come. Nietzsche's academic success masked a growing unease. He was a brilliant scholar, but he was also a restless soul. He questioned the foundations of knowledge. He challenged the traditional values of his time. This made him a controversial figure. Nietzsche's health was also deteriorating. He suffered from debilitating migraines. He experienced bouts of severe nausea and vomiting. His physical ailments mirrored his intellectual struggles. Both were symptoms of a deeper discontent. Despite his failing health, Nietzsche continued to write. He published his first book, The Birth of Tragedy, in 1872. This book challenged the traditional interpretation of Greek tragedy. It argued that tragedy was not a celebration of reason and order. Instead, it was an affirmation of life's inherent chaos and suffering. This book was met with hostility from Nietzsche's colleagues. They accused him of being irrational and nihilistic. Nietzsche was undeterred. He believed he had uncovered a profound truth. He was determined to share his insights with the world. To understand Nietzsche's philosophy, we must understand the context in which he wrote. The 19th century was a time of immense change. The Industrial Revolution was transforming society. Traditional ways of life were being upended. New ideologies were emerging. The rise of science and technology challenged religious beliefs. Darwin's theory of evolution cast doubt on the biblical account of creation. Marx's critique of capitalism questioned the foundations of the economic order. These intellectual upheavals created a sense of uncertainty and anxiety. Nietzsche saw these changes as both a threat and an opportunity. He believed that traditional values were crumbling. He argued that humanity was entering a new era. This era would be characterized by radical individualism. It would be characterized by a rejection of all forms of dogma. This period of history was a crucible. It was a crucible in which Nietzsche's philosophy was forged. His ideas were a response to the challenges of his time. They were also a call to action. They called for humanity to create a new morality. This new morality would be based on strength, creativity, and the will to power. The Birth of Tragedy was Nietzsche's first major work. It is a complex and challenging book, but it is also a deeply insightful one. It lays the groundwork for his later philosophy and introduces themes that he would develop throughout his career. In this book, Nietzsche explored the duality of human nature. He argued that we are driven by two opposing forces. These are the Apollonian and the Dionysian. The Apollonian represents reason, order, and restraint. The Dionysian represents emotion, chaos, and ecstasy. Nietzsche believed that Greek tragedy achieved a perfect balance between these forces. It allowed audiences to confront the dark, chaotic aspects of life within the safe confines of art. This experience, he argued, was cathartic. It allowed individuals to affirm life in all its fullness. However, Nietzsche argued that this balance had been lost. He believed that Western civilization had become too Apollonian. It had emphasized reason and rationality at the expense of emotion and instinct. This had led to a stifling of the human spirit. Nietzsche's answer to this crisis was to embrace the Dionysian. He believed that we must confront the darkness within ourselves. We must embrace the chaos and uncertainty of life. Only then can we achieve true self-realization. This idea is central to Nietzsche's philosophy. He believed that true strength comes from confronting our weaknesses. True freedom comes from embracing our limitations. True meaning comes from creating our own values in a world without God. Nietzsche's call to embrace the abyss was not an invitation to despair. It was a call to live life to the fullest. It was a call to create something new and beautiful out of the ruins of traditional values. This is the essence of Nietzsche's philosophy. It is a philosophy that challenges us. It is a philosophy that provokes us. But above all, it is a philosophy that inspires us. It inspires us to live more authentically and courageously in a world stripped of easy answers. Nietzsche's philosophy is often misunderstood. People shy away from it, they fear its implications. But at its heart, Nietzsche's philosophy is about empowerment. It's about the individual's potential to overcome. It's about rising above the limitations imposed by society. It's about embracing the fullness of life. One of Nietzsche's most important concepts is the will to power. This is not about dominating others. It's not about brute force. It's about self-mastery. It's about channeling your energy towards creating something meaningful. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. Think of a sculptor chiseling away at a block of stone. He sees the potential within. He shapes it with precision and care. That's the will to power in action. It's about taking the raw materials of your life and molding them into something beautiful. Thus, Spoke Zarathustra uses vivid metaphors to convey this idea. Zarathustra speaks of lions becoming children. This symbolizes the need to shed our preconceptions. We must approach life with a sense of wonder and creativity. We must be willing to learn and grow throughout our lives. Nietzsche famously proclaimed the death of God. This statement is often misinterpreted. It's not a celebration of atheism, it's not a denial of a higher power, it's a recognition of a cultural shift. Nietzsche saw that traditional religious beliefs were losing their grip on society. Think of a world where the old ways no longer provide comfort. Think of a world where the old answers no longer satisfy. This was the world Nietzsche saw emerging. He believed that the decline of traditional religion created a vacuum. This vacuum, he argued, needed to be filled with something new. Nietzsche's death of God is a call to responsibility. If there is no God to give us meaning, then we must create our own. We must each become creators of our own values. We must each become architects of our own destinies. This is a daunting task, but it is also an exhilarating one. It means we are free to define our own lives. We are free to pursue our own truths. We are free to become who we are meant to be. Section 3. Eternal recurrence. Imagine a thought experiment. What if you had to live your life over and over again? Every joy, every sorrow, every triumph, every failure, all of it repeated for eternity. Would you embrace this fate or recoil in horror? This is the concept of eternal recurrence, one of the most challenging and intriguing ideas in Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Nietzsche uses it to make us confront the weight of our choices. If every decision we make will be repeated infinitely, then we must choose wisely. Eternal recurrence is not about literal repetition, it's about perspective. It's about living each moment as if it were eternally significant. It's about wringing every drop of meaning from our existence. This idea can be both terrifying and liberating. It challenges us to live authentically. It challenges us to pursue our passions with intensity. It challenges us to make each moment count. Section 4. Master morality versus slave morality. Nietzsche's analysis of morality is one of his most controversial contributions to philosophy. He challenges the traditional Judeo-Christian ethic, which he calls slave morality. He contrasts it with what he calls master morality. Slave morality, according to Nietzsche, is based on resentment. It values humility, weakness, and compassion. It glorifies suffering and self-sacrifice. It's a morality born out of the powerless's resentment of the powerful. Master morality, on the other hand, is life-affirming. It values strength, creativity, and self-assertion. It celebrates excellence and achievement. It's a morality of those who create their own values and live life on their own terms. Nietzsche's point is not to endorse cruelty or oppression. It's to challenge us to question our assumptions about morality. He wants us to create a morality that is life-enhancing, not life-denying. Thus, Spoke Zarathustra encourages us to embrace our inner strength. It encourages us to strive for greatness. It encourages us to create a life worthy of being lived over and over again. Section 5. The dance of creation and destruction. Nietzsche's philosophy is not for the faint of heart. It's a philosophy of constant struggle. It's a philosophy of creation and destruction. It's a philosophy that embraces the chaotic nature of existence. Zarathustra speaks of the need to become creators and destroyers. To create something new, we must be willing to tear down the old. We must be willing to let go of our cherished beliefs. We must be willing to embrace the unknown. This process is not easy. It's painful, it's messy, but it's also necessary for growth. Just as a forest fire clears the way for new life, so too must we embrace the fires of change in our own lives. Thus Spoke Zarathustra is a call to action. It's a call to embrace the fullness of life, with all its joys and sorrows, its triumphs and failures. It's a call to become who we are meant to be. Section 6, Zarathustra's Shadow. Despite his emphasis on strength and self-reliance, Nietzsche doesn't shy away from the darker aspects of human nature. Zarathustra, despite his wisdom, is not immune to doubt and despair. He struggles with loneliness. He grapples with the weight of his message. This is an important reminder that the path to self-realization is not linear. There will be setbacks. There will be moments of darkness. But it's in these moments that we discover our true strength. The book's final image is of Zarathustra dancing. He dances with the knowledge that his message may not be heard. He dances with the understanding that the journey is more important than the destination. He dances because he has embraced the fullness of life. This is the ultimate message of Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Embrace the struggle, embrace the joy, embrace the pain. Dance with the knowledge that you are alive, and that is enough. Section 1. The Earthquake of Ideas. Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra is not a book you passively read, it's a force. It's an earthquake shaking the foundations of conventional thought. It rattles your cage. It forces you to confront the limitations of your own thinking. Consider the prevailing morality of Nietzsche's time. It was a morality rooted in Christian dogma. It emphasized humility, self-sacrifice, and obedience to authority. Nietzsche saw this as a form of weakness. He called for a revaluation of all values. Imagine a world where strength, creativity, and self-assertion are paramount. This is the world Nietzsche envisioned. Section 2. Echoes of Zarathustra. Nietzsche's ideas didn't appear in a vacuum. They were a product of his time. The 19th century was an era of immense intellectual ferment. Think Darwin's theory of evolution, think Marx's critique of capitalism, think the rise of psychology with Freud. These were all forces shaking the foundations of traditional thought. Nietzsche's work, while controversial, resonated with many thinkers who followed. Existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus grappled with the implications of a godless world. They explored themes of freedom, responsibility, and the search for meaning in an absurd universe. Nietzsche's ideas continue to provoke and inspire. Section 3. Beyond Nihilism's Grip. Nietzsche is often wrongly labeled a nihilist. Nihilism is the belief that nothing matters, that life is meaningless. While Nietzsche recognized the potential for nihilism in a world without God, he offered a way out. He offered a way to create meaning in a world seemingly devoid of it. Think of a tightrope walker suspended over an abyss. There are no safety nets. There is only the void below. This is the human condition. According to Nietzsche, we are faced with the abyss of meaninglessness. But Nietzsche doesn't leave us dangling. He shows us how to dance on the tightrope. He teaches us to create our own meaning. Section 4. The Will to Meaning. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power is often misunderstood. It's not about dominating others or seeking worldly power. It's about self-mastery. It's about channeling your energy towards creating something meaningful with your life. Imagine a sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble. He sees the potential within. He chips away at the excess stone with precision and care. He's not forcing the stone into a preordained shape. He's collaborating with it, revealing the beauty hidden within. That's the will to power in action. It's about becoming the artist of your own life. Section 5. The Overman's Ethos. The Übermensch, or Overman, is one of Nietzsche's most enduring and controversial concepts. He envisioned the Overman as a new type of human being. This being would be free from the constraints of conventional morality. He would be a creator of values. Imagine a world where individuals are not bound by the shackles of good and evil, but rather create their own moral compass. This is the world the Overman inhabits. He is a free spirit guided by his own internal compass. He is driven by a thirst for knowledge and a passion for life. The Overman is not a literal superhuman. He is an ideal, something to strive towards. He embodies the potential that lies dormant within each of us. He urges us to live a life of purpose and meaning. Section 6. A revaluation of values. Nietzsche's call for a revaluation of all values is a central theme in Thus Spoke Zarathustra. He believed that the prevailing morality of his time, rooted in Christian values of humility and self-sacrifice, was life-denying. He argued for a new morality that embraced strength, creativity, and self-assertion. Imagine a world where the pursuit of excellence is celebrated. Imagine a world where individuals are encouraged to reach their full potential. This is the world Nietzsche envisioned. It's a world where the values of the strong and the creative are paramount. This revaluation of values is not about endorsing cruelty or selfishness. It's about creating a morality that is life-affirming. Section 1. Seeds of Transformation. Thus Spoke Zarathustra is more than just a book. It's a seed. It takes root in your mind. It grows slowly, steadily. It challenges your assumptions. It pushes you to question everything you thought you knew. It's a catalyst for personal transformation. Imagine a caterpillar encased in its cocoon. It seems trapped, limited, but within that confinement, a metamorphosis is taking place. Reading Thus Spoke Zarathustra can be like that. It's a process of breaking down old ways of thinking. Section 2. The Alchemy of Self-Discovery. Thus Spoke. Zarathustra is not a self-help book. It doesn't offer easy answers or quick fixes. It's a philosophical exploration, a journey into the depths of human experience. But in that exploration, we often find ourselves. Think of an alchemist in his laboratory, surrounded by bubbling beakers and strange instruments. He's not just mixing chemicals, he's engaged in a process of transformation, trying to turn base metals into gold. Reading Nietzsche can be like that. It's a process of taking the raw materials of our experiences and transmuting them into something valuable. Section 3. Embracing the abyss within. Nietzsche's philosophy is often associated with darkness, with nihilism, with the abyss of meaninglessness. And it's true, he doesn't shy away from the difficult truths of existence. He forces us to confront the fact that we live in a world without inherent meaning or purpose. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, dark canyon. The wind howls around you. You feel a sense of vertigo, a fear of falling into the void. That's the abyss Nietzsche asks us to confront, the abyss of meaninglessness. But Nietzsche doesn't abandon us there. He shows us that the abyss is not something to be feared, but rather embraced. It's in confronting the void that we find our freedom. It's in acknowledging the absence of inherent meaning that we gain the power to create our own. Section 4. The Dance of Light and Shadow. Nietzsche's philosophy is often seen as a stark choice between light and darkness, between strength and weakness, between the will to power and the acceptance of nihilism. But this is a simplistic view. Nietzsche's genius lies in his ability to hold both sides in tension, to see the interplay of opposites. Think of a yin-yang symbol, the ancient Chinese representation of duality and balance. The black and white swirls are distinct yet interconnected. Each contains within it the seed of the other. Nietzsche understood that life is not a binary equation. We are not simply creatures of light or darkness, strength or weakness. We contain within us the capacity for both. Section 5. From Angst to Affirmation. Reading Nietzsche can be an unsettling experience. He challenges our cherished beliefs. He forces us to confront uncomfortable truths. He can leave us feeling lost, adrift in a sea of uncertainty, but this discomfort is often the prelude to growth. Think of a snake shedding its skin. It's not a pretty sight. The snake writhes and contorts as it struggles to break free from the old constricting layer, but underneath a new, vibrant skin awaits. Nietzsche's philosophy can be like that. It helps us shed our old skins, the outdated beliefs, the limiting assumptions, the fears that hold us back. Section 6, Living Zarathustra's Legacy. Thus Spoke Zarathustra is not a book you finish and put away on a shelf. It's a living text, one that continues to challenge and inspire long after you've turned the last page. It's a call to action, an invitation to live a more conscious, more authentic, more meaningful life. Imagine a torch being passed from one runner to the next. Each runner carries the flame for a while, keeping it alive before passing it on to the next generation. Reading Thus Spoke Zarathustra can be like that. It's about picking up the torch of Nietzsche's ideas, carrying them forward, and using them to illuminate our own paths. It's about integrating his insights into our lives. Section 1. The Echoes of the Mountaintop. We began this exploration on a mountaintop. It was there that Zarathustra, having spent years in solitude, descended to share his wisdom. He spoke of the Übermensch, the death of God, the will to power. These ideas, like echoes bouncing off the mountainside, have resonated through the ages, challenging and inspiring generations of readers. Thus Spoke Zarathustra is not a comfortable read. It's not a book that offers easy answers or simplistic solutions to life's complexities. It's a book that forces us to confront uncomfortable truths. It makes us question everything we thought we knew about ourselves and the world. But within those challenges lies the potential for profound transformation. Section 2. A Call to Awaken. Nietzsche's philosophy is often misconstrued as a philosophy of despair, a celebration of nihilism. But this is a superficial reading. While Nietzsche recognized the potential for nihilism in a world stripped of God and inherent meaning, he offered a powerful antidote: the will to power. Imagine a world where individuals are not passive recipients of preordained values, but active creators of their own meaning. This is the world Nietzsche envisioned. It's a world where individuals embrace their freedom, their responsibility, and their potential to shape their own destinies. Thus Spoke Zarathustra is a call to awaken from what Nietzsche saw as the slumber of complacency. It's a call to embrace our individuality, to cultivate our strengths, to live a life of purpose and meaning. Section 3. The Will to Meaning in a Meaningless World. Nietzsche's concept of the death of God wasn't about literal atheism. It signified the decline of traditional religious belief as a source of absolute truth. This created a crisis, a vacuum of meaning. But Nietzsche saw it as an opportunity. Without preordained values, we are free to create our own. We become the authors of our own moral code. This is daunting but exhilarating. We are free to define our own values and pursue our own truths. This is the essence of the will to power. Embrace the freedom and responsibility of living without easy answers. Section 4. Embracing the eternal recurrence. The most radical idea in Thus Spoke Zarathustra is eternal recurrence. Imagine living your life over and over with all its joys and sorrows. Would you embrace this fate or recoil in horror? It's a tool for self-reflection. If we had to relive every moment, would we live differently? Would we embrace our passions more fully? Would we strive to make each moment count? The eternal recurrence challenges us to live authentically, to pursue our goals with passion, to wring every drop of meaning from our existence. It asks us to consider whether our lives are worthy of being repeated. This is a daunting but liberating perspective. It frees us from regret and the fear of missing out. It encourages us to live in the present moment, to embrace the fullness of our experience, to create a life we would willingly relive. Section 5. Thus Spoke Zarathustra, thus speak you. As we conclude this exploration of Thus Spoke Zarathustra, It's important to remember that Nietzsche's work is not a destination but a starting point. It's not a set of doctrines to be blindly followed, but a collection of ideas to be grappled with, debated, and ultimately integrated into our own lives. The true legacy of Thus Spoke Zarathustra lies not in memorizing its aphorisms or parroting its pronouncements, but in allowing its ideas to take root within us, to challenge our assumptions, to push us beyond our comfort zones. Thus spoke Zarathustra, yes, but the story doesn't end there. It continues with each of us, with every act of courage, every creative endeavor, every attempt to live a more authentic and meaningful life. The echoes of Zarathustra's voice merge with our own, urging us to embrace our potential, to create our own values, to become who we are meant to be. The mountaintop awaits. What will you say when it's your turn to speak?